Okay, let's talk about clean energy, EVs, uh, part of this whole agenda that is disgusting. See, this is they're warping clean energy that, for one, they're falsely accusing us of destroying our planet. I'm not gonna say that we're not doing some things that we shouldn't be doing to our planet, but our planet, our plain T, can and does heal itself just as our bodies can heal themselves in miraculous ways. And I'm not saying what we do is without consequence, but this idea that, especially we see in sci-fi movies, that we need, and in video games, that we need to explore through space to find a new planet because this one's going to be destroyed soon because we're going to use up all the resources. It's fear-mongering, and there should be no place for it. And we should, my idea of this video is to point out these things and then let you know that it's all fine. All right, especially this EV agenda with clean energy. Well, recently Kamala Harris, I don't know actually how recent it is, with these videos of these, I like political figures, whatever. I'm gonna keep using these air quotes because this is the terminology society uses, and I don't like these terminologies, but for getting the point across. Kamala Harris, in the same sentence, included EVs, clean energy, and reducing the population.
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
Well, it's because they're all part of the same agenda to reduce the population. That is part of the clean energy, the cleanliness, the less stress on the earth. We need to have less than 50% of the population that we have now. Well, that is, one, should be scary, and two, is just bullshit. Okay. Well, that, for one, that should, yeah, like I was just saying, that scary because why why is EVs and clean energy included in the same agenda with getting rid of people? Well, that is kind of shows you what side that's on, what side the EVs and clean energy are on. They're a part of this globalist narrative push right now to clean up, to kill people, to lower the population. And EVs are a part of that same thing, and so is clean energy. People applaud, they love Elon Musk, they love him. This guy controls the cars, he controls the internet, Starlink, he controls space with SpaceX, which is really just mind control, and not the idea of controlling, or the limiting controlling of our belief system that we can travel to these places. So that's even more powerful. And then Twitter, or X, controlling our speech. So this guy's controlling all of these things now, which are, even as we're getting converging more towards and rely on in the future. And we love this guy. I mean, TikTok loves this guy. It's like a meme to spot out a cyber truck, just a junk vehicle. All of these EVs are junk. The only reason that these EVs are where they are right now is because of the subsidizing that the governments gave the EVs, the companies, to make EVs. It's not for this whole cleaner thing. I mean, it's certainly not more cost efficient. You pay more up front. If your battery goes, that costs about half your car. They have no resale value, and they last not nearly as long, and they're not as reliable or dependable. why on earth would you choose that over a conventional car? It's certainly not logical, but neither is any of this stuff that our society does. So of course these EVs are going to get pushed, and as I've just stated earlier, they're a part of this same clean energy agenda that we need to be doing certain things because we're harming the earth, and the only real way is to just cleanse people. And then Bill Gates on a TED talk saying the big V's, those things can help reduce population as well, do their part, yada yada. Why is that connected as well? Shouldn't be. But also recently Japan just came out and said that they're done with trying to do hydrogen for like hydrogen cars, hydrogen energy, and they're moving to maglev, magnetic levitation. This is something that they're calling as new, but it's not new. We've known about this for a long time, and not just a long time. This is an ancient pictures and stories. Maglev is not something new. Everything comes full cycle. So they're rediscovering this and touting it as new in the future. But isn't that kind of interesting that we're already moving away from the EVs, and the only reason the EVs are here is because of subsidies, and the only reason for those that push the subsidies of the EVs is to actually just screw us over, control us in the sense that your car is a computer that now monitors you. It'll, you know, they want it to get to a point where, and this happens in some places, you know, if you speed, it'll slow you down, it'll stop you, it'll report you to the authorities. It's keeping accountability of you. They don't have the right to have that accountability over you. You're the only one that has the accountability. So that's another enactment of control. And then them also being useless vehicles that have no resale value, cost more, and then once an issue happens, you can't fix it yourself. I mean, mainly the batteries, right? So you're left with nothing. You don't have a vehicle that can be used for 100, 200,000 miles like these Toyotas and Hondas and stuff. And EVs are still also not a new thing. We have pictures and videos of EVs. We have pictures of EVs from the 1850s, videos from the early 1900s. They had them on Jekyll Island. I believe that's the island right next to Georgia, the Georgia-Florida border. Very interesting place, Jekyll Island, where the Federal Reserve started. Yeah, we've had electric vehicles before. They came back full circle. Here we are full circle again on maglev. While of course that's where we should have been the whole time. But I mean, we had some hurdles in the way, like maybe Rockefeller coming along and rewriting the medicine system in the 1920s, 1930s, basing everything on oil. And then we get to vehicles, everything on oil, so we got to go to the combustion engine. There's just no profit. So here we are. And then lastly, Klaus Schwab, the leader of the World Economic Forum. If you don't know who the WEF, the World Economic Forum is, you should probably just look them up so at least you know who these beings are. Klaus Schwab and the WF are... They tout the 2030 agenda. The 2030 agenda, where in the year 2030, the population has been significantly reduced. They put that out. I'm not just making that up. And in Klaus Schwab's own words, on a YouTube video, like at a conference where they're talking to the camera, he says, "You will own nothing and be happy with it." He said that anyways, and they've also talked about accelerating Agenda 2030 to, like, I don't know, 2028, because I guess things are going a little faster than they expected. But he just got promoted to the universal bishop by good old Pope Francis, right? Because Pope Francis said that he is doing the right actions. His idea of cleansing the population is the clean and right way to go. that's not good. And then in the same foot, Pope Francis has been given the right to rewrite the Bible, and he wants, and several others in that world want the AI to write the Bible. Now, that's not good. See, I believe the AI has been around for a long time, much longer than these modern times we talk about, and it's getting ready to finally reveal itself. Hence the book of Revelations. And the revelation is not just for that, but the revealing of everything. All secrets will come to light, as the age of Aquarius states, basically. So the AI revealing itself, and if you look over the past couple of decades, it's been doing that quite well, introducing it in slow ways that we come to like and depend upon AI. So that way when it reveals itself, we're like, okay, that sounds good. Sure, because they want to make an AI religion, because that way it's not human. And like they say with the Bible, it can be a little messed up because men wrote it. And now if you have an AI writing it, then it's all good. There's no bias or anything, right? And then you have a rewritten Bible, which is already a problem, but a new AI God to worship. That's a bit scary. And the AIs are already starting to run a lot of different companies. I don't know if you've heard of Blackstone, but they're kind of big. They're run by an algorithm, an AI, called Aladdin. Aladdin dictates all of their actions. And I'm sure it's something like Blackstone puts in the parameters. How do we take over the housing market and force people into smart cities? And it says, do X, Y, Z. Because that's what we're going towards right now. That they're trying to get us into smart cities, because once again, that's where EVs come in, and it's cleaner. I mean, it's not really cleaner, but you know, you're putting less imprint on the area around, and you lose more freedom. They're able to enact more control. You're getting more like the Hunger Games. And then that leaves you with only one other option: to not be a part of that society, to not be in the matrix, so to say. And they want you to be worried about that, as if that's a bad thing. That is not a bad thing. That is a great thing, to not be a part of that realm. And for right now, we still are a part of society, but it comes at a certain point, well, you'll have to take your own choice and choose whether you still want to be a part of society or not, and choose if you want this massive, disgusting society, or your own homegrown, small, grassroots society where everyone grows their own food and you live off the land. And I know for me personally, that's the route that I am slowly progressing towards, and of course the route that I'm going to ultimately take, but it's, you know, it's a building process. But both timelines are going to happen. There's going to be the smart city timeline, and there's going to be the beings that decide not to go with that and choose their own little grassroots community and have dominion over the earth, the other 2/3 of the earth that's available to them. So it's really up to you, because both will happen, but we have the right to choose. We have that freedom. We have that free will. And finally, I guess I may have said that before, but I did say at the beginning that I would talk about the good side, right? Like, there's all this fear mongering, and that's not the purpose of this video. This video is to let you know of what is currently going on, so that way you can be aware of it and not be afraid of it, because you see these games unfolding and you can know that everything is still just fine. This is the most exciting time to be alive. There's over 8 billion people. Maybe there are, maybe there aren't. I mean, you can't really get an exact census. But once again, the clean energy and all these EVs, all this stuff, this whole agenda will tell us we have too many people, and that's our problem. On the flip side, I'd argue it's a good thing, especially from this video I was watching earlier today, and put it in a different perspective. When you have the things that make things real to us in this reality, in this third dimensional reality, is what we agree upon as a consensus, and then that's what exists. That's what we deal with on a daily basis. Then what we agree upon as these set of rules. So when you have more people and more people that are leveling up, even if it's a percentage, maybe 1%. That 1% of 8 billion is much larger than 1% of 4 billion. These people that are raising their frequency higher, having a higher consciousness, well, that is good for everyone, not just those 1%. So that overall, that 1% number of that 8 billion, or 2%, whatever, is going to be higher. And that is actually better for all of us. That's why there's so many beings alive right now, because they knew this was the time to be alive. The most exciting stuff is about to unfold. And this is, once again, the age of Aquarius. This is where all truth comes to light. You will start to see so many more things. I mean, we're seeing so many things exposed. I mean, a new thing month by month right now. And we just go through information so quickly. Now we're at a point where you absorb stuff so quickly. But that's the new norm now, right? Just because more and more truth keeps getting uncovered. And that's because of the age that we are shifting into right now. And also by 2026, we'll have, I believe, Uranus, which is information, uncovering secrets, right? We'll move into Gemini. And why Gemini is interesting is Gemini is the sign known for communication. And as we get further along in our age right now, and our frequency is rising at an exponential rate, this will unlock better communication, more communication. I mean, it will be hard to believe, but psychic, telepathic communication, what we deem as superpowers, these are things that all return. And the Gemini is right around the corner, that constellation coming in that time as well, and that is communication. Funnily enough, isn't it just Microsoft that just released their new platform called Gemini? You have the good and the bad, right? They know about astrology as well. They're playing on that communication. It's literally called Gemini, and it's used for communication. And it's the communication for the two separate timelines, the smart city timeline and the freedom timeline, where you're living sovereign. And it's just so funny to me, and it's just so fitting that people take astrology for granted, but even these giant companies still use astrology. NASA, not a space agency, they name all of their ships, every little rocket or whatever, after some form of astrology or some form of some ancient history, right? Like it's just it's interesting that they consistently use those themes whenever they're naming them as well. And as JP Morgan says, millionaires don't worry about astrology, billionaires do. Okay? If that doesn't strike a chord, I don't know what will. If the beings at that level that have that much control over our lives worry about astrology, there might be a little something to it. So that's it for today.